Yo family, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are hopping in to talk about some Destiny 2, and for once it isn't actually negative. Now, I completely understand all the negativity around the game and people's issues with it at the moment, but in a week's time, on January the 7th, we have the launch of Act 3 for Revenant. This, of course, is the final portion of this episode and will round off the story for the Revenant episode itself. But not only this, we'll also have access to a secret event, a brand new exotic mission and craftable exotic weapon, alongside the introduction of some brand new artifact perks, as well as a couple more seasonal weapons to round off the Revenant set. And of course, we'll gain access to the final levels for cosmetics from the season's pass. So if you're interested in finding out more about this, guys, stay locked and we'll cover everything in today's video. If you do find yourself enjoying the video or finding it informative, leave a like and subscribe to keep up to date with everything Destiny 2. But for now, let's get started. So it goes without saying, as it was for episode 1, the most exciting thing to come out of Act 3 is going to be the brand new exotic mission called Kel's Fall. This is going to be the sort of final mission where we assault the fortress of Fickrul, and Bungie describe it as being an assault on Dracula's castle. We do know from Bungie leaks that there are going to be 3 boss fights during this mission. These are going to be 3 of Fickrul's followers. And amongst obviously the Revenant set of weapons which will be dropping throughout this as rewards, including the 2 new ones which we'll talk about in a second, of course the end reward for completing this mission is going to be the new exotic shotgun. This is going to be a Void Affinity exotic shotgun called Slayer's Fang. It has 2 perks. First of this is Nightsworn Sight. Dealing final blows to targets grants Nightsworn Sight. During that time, final blows grant True Sight. Ammo slowly reloads from reserves, and sub-munitions weaken targets. And on top of this, it's also going to have Heart Piercer. Rounds from this weapon shatter into sub-munitions on impact, which is strong against overload champions. Now, we do already know that this weapon is going to be craftable because the exotic catalysts have already been leaked for this, so I'm guessing this is going to be a week by week completion sort of deal again to enhance and make the weapon stronger, and the catalysts on offer will be Repulsor Brace, Stats for All, Cascade Point, and Loose Change. Now personally for me, obviously if you are building a Void build, Repulsor Brace might be nice, but I'm going to be looking for Cascade Point just so you can blow your load with all that additional damage firing off those rounds quickly. Or the other potential option is going to be Loose Change. As Nightsworn Sight, the perk obviously gives its own weaken from the sub-munition rounds from the perk. This means that you are applying that debuff and you can take advantage of that ridiculous reload speed that Loose Change applies every single time those sub-munitions land. So again, that could be another good option. So that's everything that we know on the exotic mission so far. It does seem like it's going to be one worth taking part in, guys, and it might just be the highlight of the act, as obviously the same was with the Choir of One mission in episode 1. Now speaking of episode 1, of course, when Act 3 of episode 1 launched and we got Choir of One as the exotic weapon, the seasonal artifact perk additional row that we got with Act 3 was all based around auto rifles. Now we don't exactly know what the seasonal artifacts are going to be yet for Act 3 of Revenant. I'm sure Bungie will do a TWAB on Thursday and let us know about that. But if I was to hazard a guess, I'm going to say again, they're going to base it around this exotic weapon, so you might see some stuff that does some funky things with shotguns. Again though, that is merely speculation, so take that with a grain of salt and we'll find out closer to next week's launch of Act 3 on what exactly those seasonal artifact perks are going to be. So moving on from there, we will see 2 more weapons added to the Revenant seasonal weapon set. The first of these is going to be Red Tape, which is a lightweight kinetic scout rifle with that 200 rounds per minute fire rate. In the first column, you've got Rhyme Stealer, 4 times the Charm, Demolitionist, Closing Time, Keep Away, Lone Wolf, and Attrition Orbs. And in the second column, you've got Headstone, Focus Fury, Adrenaline Junkie, High Impact Reserves, Explosive Payload, One for All, and Rampage. Now, it goes without saying, for PvE, there is that nice new combo there of Rhyme Stealer and Headstone to get. Obviously, Rhyme Stealer is going to give you Frost Armor when you defeat Stasis Crystal or Frozen Target, and Headstone is going to allow you to create those crystals, so that's quite a nice pairing there if you are focusing on Stasis. Or there are tried and tested pairings that you can put together, such as 4 times the Charm with Explosive Payload, or One for All, or Rampage, anything like that. Demolitionist, again, available in that first column, always a nice perk to have for PvE, but lightweight frame scout rifles are about to get a buff with the patch that is coming the week after Act 3 launches, and obviously in here for PvP you do have things like Lone Wolf, keep away, and closing time as well, which then can be paired with your choice of damage perk or stat bumping perk in that second column, so red tape might be a decent weapon to go after come Act 3's launch. The second new weapon available is going to be Heretic's Fervor. This is a stasis aggressive frame rocket launcher. In the first column, we've got Slide Shot, Quick Draw, Rhyme Stealer, Lone Wolf, Auto Loading Holster, Field Prep, and Tracking Module. And then in the second column, we have Harmony, Explosive Light, Bipod, Frenzy, Vorpal Weapon, and Chill Clip. Though again, some nice perk pairings to have there if you don't have a decent stasis or aggressive frame rocket launcher. For some reason, Quick Draw is showing in the second column as well. I'm pretty sure that's not intended, and I'm not sure that anybody is wanting an aggressive frame rocket launcher with double Quick Draw anyway, but it might be sort of interesting, I guess. So I'm not as interested in this as I am with red tape, but again, it's a couple of new weapons to chase after and get god rolls of before the end of the Revenant episode. So another thing that we have to look forward to, despite not having a release date for it yet, or Bungie having addressed or spoken about it at all, is something that is being called Firecracker currently within the files. This is an event similar to the Riven's Wishes that we did within Season of the Wish. If you missed that, essentially we did tasks for Morosov. We would go and do a quest, we would acquire tokens, we could then turn them in for mementos or endgame materials or weapons from the Last Wish raid without actually having to do the raid. So again, this is going to be something similar, but this time we are going to be aligned with the Drifter. Point of this is we go out and do quests and we earn something called bento tokens for doing said quests. We can then return to the Drifter to turn these in for some rewards. So as you can see on screen, for 2 bento tokens each, you'll be able to acquire these Hinterland armor pieces and the Biosphere ones as well. So what I'm being told is these are going to be Artifice pieces with random stat drops, thus why they are 2 tokens each. So if you're somebody that doesn't get into Master Dungeons that often and things like that, this is going to be a very good opportunity to get a full set of Artifice armor for your main character. If you're not interested in that, for 1 bento token each, you can acquire endgame materials, including Spoils of Conquest. Now, I don't know how many this is going to be. I would imagine it's only going to be something like 5. I wish it was going to be more than that, but I can't see them giving away something that you have to complete multiple raid encounters to get. But if you're short on those endgame materials, again, 1 bento token each is going to get you those. And then we have some weapons, some interesting ones here. So Cloud Strike is an RNG drop from the Beyond Light expansion, which you get a chance of dropping from doing the higher difficulty Empire hunts from barracks. Obviously, this is going to be 3 bento tokens to get, but it takes away all the RNG and grind of getting that. Now, if Bungie do what they normally do, this may only be available to people who own the Beyond Light expansion, and unfortunately it may not tell you this until after you've bought it, so you may want to wait for that confirmation until after you obviously see whether you can pick it up or not without owning that expansion. But nevertheless, it is a good weapon, so it's nice that they've included that. Alongside this, of course, the Cataphract and the Adept Igneous Hammer are not currently available, so this is a good opportunity to get one of those, especially if you are not somebody that manages to go flawless regularly within Trials of Osiris. But as I say, these are not available as drops at the moment anyway, so that's also really good. Again, applies with the Hothead. If you didn't manage to pick up the one that was given to us free from Banshee recently, the Hothead Adept is a very good rocket launcher, and again, the Horus Least is a very good weapon too, so those ones will all be available for 1 bento token each. And finally, if you've missed some of the events or you didn't manage to get all the mementos you wanted, for 1 bento token each, you can pick up any of the mementos from any of the events that we've had. So as I say, this is a bit of a secret event at the moment because Bungie haven't physically addressed it, but the files, the quest steps, the rewards, etc. are all in the system, so we will be getting this in the coming weeks, as Firecracker refers to the Chinese New Year, which is something that Bungie normally adds some cosmetics to the store and things for, so this should be coming imminently. Some other things to mention before we round out the video today: the final Iron Banner of episode Revenant is going to be starting on January the 14th. So this is a great opportunity for those of you that didn't manage to get hold of the new Stasis Sidearm Tenacious Mastery. It gives you another 2 weeks to try and nail down a good roll of that. My recommendation for this is either going to be Air Trigger with Kill Clip or Loose Change with Kill Clip, so pick whichever of those is best for you, but those would be the 2 rolls for that I'm looking for. It's also worth noting Bungie are making changes to the Skulking Wolf Iron Banner origin trait. This is now going to activate in not only PvP PvP but also PvE as well, and makes enemies slightly less accurate in targeting you when active. This will work like the effect that Manticore has when airborne, though this might make that perk worthwhile having for some PvE shenanigans with that as well. And finally for today, there are some sandbox changes coming which will also go live on January the 14th, so that's a week after Act 3's launch and the same day that Iron Banner goes live. These changes largely affect PvP, but also there is some crossover into PvE as well. So for these changes, heavy burst sidearms are having their body shot damage increased from 30 to 33 and their crit damage from 48 to 52.8. SMGs are having their magazine sizes increased by approximately 10%. Auto rifles are getting increased body shot damage from 13.5 to 13.6 and crit damage from 23 to 23.1. High impact pulse rifles are having a little nerf with reduced body shot damage from 22 to 21.5 and crit damage from 39.6 to 38.7. They've also reduced the ADS damage fall scaler from 1.7 to 1.6. Lightweight pulses, they've increased the body shot damage from 17 to 20.4 and increased crit damage from 31.45 to 31.6. For hand cannons, precision hand cannons specifically, this will affect Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten and Malfeasance. The intrinsic hand cannon precision scaler is going to reduce your ADS movement speed penalty by 10%. Lightweight scout rifles, as I mentioned earlier when we were talking about red tape, they've increased the body shot damage from 32 to 38 and the crit damage from 64 to 64.6. And they're also making some changes to sniper rifles where they've reduced the camera roll component to flinch against players by 20%, and they've done this for 50% as well for Whisper of the Worm. Another couple of things just to add on top of this, Bungie will be reverting Rabbaton Lance's RPM back down to 300, so they initially increased this and obviously it's seen a lot more use in PvP, not necessarily in high skill lobbies, but it has been very noticeably active within lower skill and mid skill lobbies, and also it was already a very much used weapon across PvE as well, so they've decided to make the change to revert its RPM to have that back in line with usage rates. And finally, Malfeasance, they've added the remaining intrinsic effects from the precision hand cannon perk, including accuracy bonuses and the new ADS movement speed penalty reduction. This should make the Malfeasance feel more in line with other 180 hand cannons in the way they it fires, because currently it's quite different. That's everything for the video today, guys. I know it isn't exactly like a whole new episode's worth of content, but there is some very exciting things to have, especially for those people who want to take advantage of those bento tokens in the secret event, and also the excitement of a new exotic mission and weapon as well. So if you want to read the full patch notes for the sandbox changes which go live on the 14th of January with the final Iron Banner of the season, I'll leave the link to that pinned in the comment down below. But otherwise, guys, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you for your support as always, and I hope you continue to have a great holiday festive period. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye bye.